Every game needs a story. Well, not every game. But some games have better stories than others. Some games have just good stories that aren't necessarily excellent, but are told in such a way that it transcends native storytelling. My muse and inspiration for this project is one such a case. Not that it doesn't have a good story, it's just exceptional in the way it tells it. KingsField tells its story not through dialogue or hand-holding, but through discovery and intrigue. You could play the game and miss the story completely. A brave move by the developers. Luckily, most hardened video game veterans have seen this type of narrative before and aren't, well, idiots. Sometimes you have to trust your audience to do what is complex and take some thought power. And luckily it worked for KingsField. I aim to do something similar. Yes, there will be a story, and there will be a general narrative. But it won't just be shouted at you. You'll have to explore dungeons and caves and look for ruins or inscriptions that give clue to the tales of old. You'll have to read books and question shady characters to piece together the puzzle. You'll have to solve the mystery of the Gravebane curse without any help. Does this intrigue you? So, in this video, I aim to at least enlighten you to the general overview of the story and the narrative, and what has happened within this world of Ulliadore to lead to these events. Please note, this video will receive a follow-up video, which will properly introduce the universe to you all. This video specifically is all about the tale of the Gravebane curse. In the follow-up video, where I properly introduce the Ulliadore universe, which is the same one that my game Death Rattle Hell Unleashed is set in, I'll get to the general lore and stories from around the world. For this one, let's talk about this game specifically. I apologize for my absence. I've been working hard on getting things right within this realm's narrative, and there is a lot more to come for this game, but it will take time. If you are someone who wants to experience the story solely in the game and not hear about anything beforehand, click away now. In this video, I'm going to get into main characters and world building for the game, so if you don't want to hear it, skip to the outro. None of this will be spoilers per se, it's just an early look at the game's narrative. There will be a lot of detail and story elements missing from this brief overview, so as to not spoil anything more discoverable in the world. Everything said and spoken about in this video happens before the player takes control, so none of it will ruin the game in any way. Everything that happens during the game will be behind closed doors until the game is released. Some things I need to keep for myself, at least until everything is public. I will use AI generated images along the video just to set a general mood for the story, but please note, other than proofing and conceptualizing, I don't use AI in my video game designs at all. Let's get into the story. The town of Red Dusk sits atop the Red Dusk prominence within the realm of Ulliadore, atoned with riches and glorious trade. The town is a mining giant, having been established as a powerhouse in the realm some centuries ago. Now the town mines and exports glowstone crystals by the crate load daily. This powerful and mystical crystal is extremely valuable, but also heavily unstable. Its use in the world to aid magic by amplifying its effects. Skilled smiths and mills are able to tame these radical crystals, but it takes practice and time. Both raw and refined crystals are sold and exported from the town. The town's ruler, Lord Malachi Nightborn, was beloved and feared by his townspeople. A veteran of war and battle, he now ruled his hometown with an iron fist, yet fairly. He ruled until one fateful day when he was murdered by his own beloved son. His son, betrothed by hate and ambition, usurped his father with a plan so evil it would echo through the ages. He obtained a vial of vampire blood from a shady back alley dealer, which he forced down his father's throat and then cut it open with a hunting blade. Ironically, a gift from his father the day he came of age. The darkness of this act was so vile that it created a curse, the Gravebane curse. Some actions held an essence so evil that it could create a curse. This was extremely rare, but it could happen. His father awoke a vampire and was quickly found to be an unwelcome evil in the town. He was cast out by the townspeople, never to return, from hero to exile. His beloved son was then obliged to resume the reign that was now unattended. The plan had worked. When Lord Malachi Nightborn II severed the life from his father, he unwittingly cursed not only his father, but also himself. The Gravebane curse was created in one fell swoop. Some actions held an essence so evil that it would be remembered forever. In his quest for power, he had condemned himself to an eternity of torment. Lord Malachi Nightborn II could not experience the release of death, for his ironic curse ensured his undying existence. Upon his eventual earthly demise, he took the form of a spectral being, trapped in a liminal state between life and death, forever haunted by the choices he had made. His spirit dwelled in the mines below the town, forever to be trapped in the Vale. By now, his son, Lord Nightborn III, had taken power within the town. It was around this time, decades after the onset of the curse, that warning signs began to appear around the town. Nefarious activity was on the rise and crime was afoot. Soldiers, townsfolk and livestock alike would disappear from around the area from time to time, never to be seen again. What was unknown to the town, however, was that a small army was gathering nearby, led by the very ruler they cast out decades ago. Lord Malachi Nightborn I was back, and he was now a vampire lord. Driven by madness and a thirst for revenge, he fought his way to the top and now commanded his own army, made up of the very people he had abducted from the town he was now looking to reclaim. This would start a war within the realm, but he didn't care. He was only interested in wiping out his own bloodline and making his son pay by killing his own grandson, who now ruled the town. He knew that choking out the mines would send the entire town into a desperate state of disrepair, and that it would pressure the lords to surrender with time as their assets diminished. The mines were the key. Apart from this, the vampire Lord Malachi Nightborn I also wanted to get his hands on as many glowstone crystals as he could to make him unstoppable. He was a very powerful being, almost ascendant. The realm had not known such power for ages. The town would not secede easily, however, as the undead army approached their gates. A siege began, and the town went to war. The first thing done by the vampire lord was to slaughter the defenses around the mine entrances and block them with giant boulders and other debris. The miners trapped inside would have no way of escape and grew weak in time. Then, the undead army drew their focus towards the main camp. Weeks of war took a toll on both sides of the conflict as the army of the undead diminished by the day and the defending camp struggled to withhold their power. Every now and then the vampire lord would go out and slaughter as many defenders at once as he could, but his power was limited. The defense had massive numbers and had patience. The defenders also had a lot more ranged power than the undead, and many of the advancing troop would be dead before even reaching combat. As the conflict waged on, the scales tipped in favor of the undead army slowly. The human defense could not hold on forever, and food stocks were diminishing by the week. The outcome began to seem clear. No help was coming. Red Dusk was alone against the might of the vampire lord and the army of zombie-like creatures he commanded. After another week of battling, only a handful of defenders were left, a battle mage and some soldiers. The undead population was also greatly diminished, with only around 24 of them remaining, including the vampire lord. Acknowledging their likely demise, the defenders conceptualized a plan of martyrdom. As the final onslaught of attackers approached for the last conflict, with the Vampire Lord among them, now envisaging his victory, the plan sprung into action. As soon as the attacking troop reached the inner courtyard, the handful of brave soldiers that were left ran into the oncoming attackers with arms and pockets full of raw glowstone, their last reserves. As soon as contact was made, the battle mage defender fired a magical spell into the crowd, igniting the glowstone and exploding in a massive radius. The explosion was so big that it destroyed the entire attacking troop, as well as all of the remaining defenders, the battle mage included. It even destroyed some houses nearby and killed some civilians, a necessary sacrifice. Victory was had. The town had won. The Vampire Lord, however, was not destroyed entirely. An arm stretched out from the ashes and debris and latched onto a pole, pulling a massive charred body out from under the rubble. It was the Vampire Lord. He had survived, barely. Slowly, the evil lord dragged his body across the courtyard towards a mine entrance, feeding on flesh along the way to regain a semblance of strength. The evil commander had been damaged by the massive explosion beyond recognition and was extremely weak. When he reached the mine entrance, he stumbled around in pain and vanished into the shadows of the mines, not to be seen again for a long, long time. He now needed rest, years and years of it. His mission was accomplished, but his army was gone. The town would suffer for ages. As he delved deeper into the mining tunnels and chambers, he slew each and every miner that he found, drinking their blood and throwing them aside to die. Some he even killed outright, with a sharp swipe or piercing stab. Even in his weakened state, the Vampire Lord was much too strong for any human, or even groups of humans. Some miners were eaten or drained of their blood, and others were turned into vampires, as the Vampire Lord knew he would need to cover his tracks. He made vampires to protect him. They would be beholden to their sire and would be willing to die for him. He delved deeper and deeper into the mines, his mind filled with rage but his body and spirit too weak to take revenge. Eventually, after a few days of wandering around in the darkness and slaying or turning crystal miners into lower vampires and ghouls, he found the chamber with a concrete slab right in the middle and fumbled onto it and fell asleep. This chamber would become his tomb for a long time. The magical damage done to the Vampire Lord was massive, and it would take years to fully heal. Red Dusk, once teeming with life, now lay in perpetual gloom. A shroud of eternal darkness blotted out the sun, casting a never-ending night over the town. The townsfolk trembled as they watched their homes transform into haunted places, and an air of despair settled upon the land. Fields turned barren, unable to yield crops, and the laughter of children faded away. The curse had well and truly settled in. The night had arrived. With the mines unable to yield any results, the prosperity had taken a slumber, and the people suffered. The Vampire Lord had been slain for now, but the curse was alive still. They had won the war, but at what cost? Fear tightened its grip on the streets, turning joy into a distant memory, and the once prosperous town found itself descending into poverty and decay. The harsh realities of life left the townspeople desperate, barely able to sustain themselves. Those with specialized skills and gifts left the town behind, no longer seeing its value to them. The people of the town were forced to reach out to nearby allies for support. Their once thriving town was reduced to a charity case. Deep below the cobblestone streets, in a cell buried beneath layers of rock and earth, a petty thief named Amon languished in captivity. His days of pilfering and theft had finally caught up with him, and it seemed like his fate was sealed. The people of Red Dusk, left with nothing to offer, sought to punish those who would take even the little they had left. In the bleak depths of his prison, Amon awaited his grim destiny, he was to be hanged. However, one fateful night, when the eerie blood moon cast its ominous glow, a mysterious figure appeared in Eamon's cell. The stranger silently handed Eamon a set of keys, freeing him from his cell and offering him a glimmer of hope, a chance for escape from this seemingly inescapable situation. Who was the stranger? Eamon unlocked his cell and stepped into the musky old prison block. His dark adventure had begun, and his ominous fate was sealed. This is where your story as the player begins. So it's all I'll share for the story for now. I have a lot more written out, including the full game's narrative and resolution of what happens after these events. Hell, I already have the script written out for a sequel. I love to create these kinds of stories, even if I am a novice at it. I know it's been a long while since I've made a video covering this game, but I want to assure you all that I'm working hard on it, but some things can't be rushed. Hopefully this little preview into the world and into the game's narrative gives you a taste of what you can expect within this game's realm. I am working hard to craft a unique and truly personality-rich experience for those of you that want it. So that's about it for the general story leading up to the events of the game. As I mentioned at the start, I will do a follow-up video where I talk about the universe itself and the events and places within it. Hopefully you'll like everything that the realm offers. That's about it for the video. Thanks for watching until now. I know it's been a long one. Are you excited for the events of the game and the universe itself? Let me know in the comments below. You are my audience and I would love to get some feedback from you all, good or bad. Don't worry about hurting my feelings or trying to be nice. Let me know exactly what you think in the comments. Does the game sound cheesy? Is the story bad? Let me know. I will ultimately use the feedback to tailor a better game. So I see the value of genuine feedback from a genuine audience. Follow along for more if this project interests you, and get involved in the comments or send me an email if you have any thoughts or suggestions. I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you for the positive responses on the first few devlogs. I hope you like this one too. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep delving.